and we will be continuing to cover that nomination process for the Republicans. Indeed, the presidential race itself, it's going to be a doozy. All right, let's talk domestic politics again now. I'm joined by Liberal MP and frontbencher Parliamentary Secretary to none other than Malcolm Turnbull when he was Communications Minister. That's Paul Fletcher. Thanks very much for being there.
Good to be here, Peter.
Now, I've seen reports that you were one of the people that voted for Malcolm Turnbull. Is that accurate?
Look, along with 54 colleagues in the party room, I voted for Malcolm Turnbull on the strength of the economic plan and strategy that Malcolm is advocating. He's talked about the international competitive challenges that we face as a nation, the opportunities and the forces that are applying to our economy. The rise of Asia and the China Free Trade Agreement, obviously an important response to that. Digitisation, transforming every industry. But his message is fundamentally an optimistic one, that Australian business can compete with the best in the world. We've got some great success stories, companies like Atlassian, like Cochlear, like ResMed.
Can I jump in though,
Campaign
Paul
Monitor,
Fletcher?
a startup which raised a couple of $100 million last year. So some great success stories. We need more of that. And I think with Malcolm, you're going to see the Liberal Party's economic policies for the nation framed in terms of a response to the economic challenges strategically that we face, because ultimately it's about prosperity and jobs for Australians.
Well, can I ask you then about some of those particulars around that plan, as you put it? You described it as an economic plan and strategy that Malcolm Turnbull had that most drew you to him. Joe Hockey says that he never once heard from Malcolm Turnbull about his economic plan and strategy, either in cabinet or privately either. Why do you think, if he's got such a good plan that he's brought so many people across, a majority no less, to change the Prime Ministership, that he never first spoke to the current Treasurer about it?
Well, if you look at the areas that Malcolm has been working on and the things that he's had to say, both as Communications Minister, where of course I've worked with him very closely over the last couple of years, as Shadow Communications Minister before that, and of course in all of his political life and his business life, he's had a long-standing interest in disruption. He personally was an investor, a significant investor in Aussie Mail, the first
you're not answering the question.
service.
You're not answering the question. I don't doubt any of that. His credentials are first rate, particularly in that modern economic space of innovation. But why not raise some of these ideas over a 2-year period with the current Treasurer?
Well, look, I don't sit in Cabinet and I obviously don't sit in on conversations between Malcolm and Joe, so I'll leave that to the two of them. The judgment for me and for the 54 members of the Liberal Party room who voted for Malcolm Turnbull to become leader of the Liberal Party and therefore Prime Minister was an assessment of his capacity and the message that he will be taking, that the Turnbull government will be taking in support of innovation, creativity, in recognising the forces of disruption, but of confidence and optimism about our capacity as a nation to ride those forces to continued prosperity and success. And that is a terribly important message, and the decision of the party room was a clear one, and obviously now it's incumbent on me and on all Liberal and Coalition MPs to get behind Malcolm as leader, and of course to draw a distinction between the forward-looking economic approach of the Turnbull government and the backward-looking head in the sand approach of Labor, which wants to try and return Australia to some kind of 1960s managed economy.
Okay, but let me just jump in again on this, because I can understand you weren't privy to any private discussions or indeed cabinet discussions that may or may not have taken place between the Treasurer and the now Prime Minister. So, but nonetheless, they are at odds. So if they're at odds, and if Joe Hockey is wrong, and Malcolm Turnbull has in fact said things in the past, but Joe Hockey claims that he hasn't, then how can Joe Hockey serve in any Turnbull cabinet going forward? Because the suggestion is that he will, albeit in a different portfolio.
Well, again, Peter, those are not matters for me. They're matters for the Prime Minister. In our system, it's the Prime Minister who determines who serves and in what capacity.
Okay.
My interest, and I'd suggest the interest of the Australian people, is a government that responds creatively to the economic challenges and opportunities that we face. I mean, clearly we're going through a time of transition. The investment phase of the resources boom has come to an end, and at the same time we've got these broader structural factors, the rise of Asia, the ageing of the population, digital disruption, technology disruption across a range of industries, and of course many Australian companies capturing that and riding that well. And of course a key theme is the importance of business and business competitiveness in creating jobs and prosperity, because it's very important that we...
Just quickly, if I can, Paul Fletcher, because I'm going to run out of time, and we'll have a long time to go through all of that, because there will be some paradigm shifts there. You can just tell from Malcolm Turnbull. But quick final question, though. OK, this is all happening. We've now got a new Prime Minister. How are you going to bring the party together, though, realistically? There have already been breakouts and leaks against Malcolm Turnbull just today with Latika Burke's story.
Look, what you will see from Malcolm and the Turnbull government is a focus on the challenges and opportunities facing Australia. That's what the Australian people want us to do. They want us to have a calm, systematic, fact-based approach to the issues that we're facing, the kind of approach that Malcolm took to the NBN, very detailed examination of the issues, clear plan and clear results. When we came to government, only a bit over 300,000 premises could connect, now over 1.3 million, and a clear, credible plan to get to 75% of premises by mid-2018. You're going to see that same approach across the full gamut of economic policy areas and other policy areas, and what governments need to do is perform, demonstrate that they are addressing the concerns of the Australian people. That's what Malcolm needs to do, that's what Julie Bishop will be doing as Deputy Leader, that's what all of us will be doing, and I think if we focus on delivering for the Australian people, that is the best way to get on and deliver the outcomes we need for the nation and for the party.
Paul Fletcher, really appreciate your time on Newsday. Thanks very much for joining us.
Thanks, Peter.
All right, we're going to take a break here on the program. When we come back, all the sport with Jim as the